Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Daniel Hendrick Experience. I am super glad you're here, and I am super glad to have Arturo Chacón Cruz, tenor from Sonora, Mexico, on today. You know, this guy has such a beautiful, beautiful voice. He reminds me a lot of a young Jose Carreras, and also there's some Richard Leach in there too. Just a brilliant, gorgeous, warm top, and I am very interested in talking to him today, not only about his opera career, but also singing with mariachi around the world as well. So Arturo is hailing from Sonora, Mexico, and is considered one of the foremost operatic tenors of his generation. He has established himself as a leading man, gracing the most renowned theaters and concert halls worldwide. Arturo's rep boasts over 60 roles performed in 30 countries. That's a lot, ladies and gentlemen. He has had the honor of delivering private recitals for Their Majesties Queen Sofia and King Juan Carlos of Spain, as well as a concert for all of the leaders of Iberoamerica and His Majesty King Felipe of Spain. Arturo has been featured on major news and entertainment outlets, including CNN, Fox, Telemundo, Univision, TV Azteca, Televisa, Vanity Fair, GQ, Esquire, Opera News, People Magazine, and a lot more. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited to have him on today. And before we bring him in, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you that went to my website and have become members of the podcast. It's only $3 a month, and it really helps. So thank you. I really noticed that you're out there and you're supporting it, and the messages that you're sending me mean a lot to me. So thank you so much for doing that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready. We're going to hear some great stuff. Without any further ado, let's bring in Arturo Chacón Cruz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as advertised, welcome to the Daniel Hendrick Experience. I'm super glad you're here, as I said earlier. And ladies and gentlemen, you guys know I'm a tenor, and I love tenors, and I've had some of the greatest tenors in the world on, but we've got another one today, man. And this guy's voice is so freaking beautiful, as you're going to hear in a little bit. His name is Arturo Chacón Cruz. Arturo, muchas gracias por tu presencia, hermanito.
Muchas gracias a ti, Daniel. Estoy muy contento de estar con ustedes. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Thank you, man. So, tell our crowd, where are you right now? What are you doing?
I'm in Bordeaux, in France. I'm singing La Bohème. I'm actually on my 24th production of La Bohème, and my next show, my opening night, is going to be my 100th Rodolfo in my career.
Are you kidding me? You don't look old enough to have a 100th performance.
Well, thanks for that. But I am old enough and then some.
Wow. Okay. That is really wonderful. Is Rodolfo one of your favorite roles?
It's on the top 5, perhaps. It used to be my favorite role when I was starting out. I really connected with the character. I connected with the story, and it fit right into my sense of honor, my sense of love and sacrifice and everything. Then I kept growing up, maturing, and I discovered Cavaradossi. I discovered Trovatore. I discovered Don Carlo. So now it's not on the top 3, but it's up perhaps on the top 5, 6.
Okay. And what would be your top 1? Do you have a top 1?
It fluctuates between Tosca, Cavaradossi, and Ballo in Maschera.
Ooh, forse la tua vinse. I love that aria. Wow. Yeah. I remember the first time.
Role is
it's incredible. The first time I heard Jose Carreras sing that aria, I was just blown away.
Oh God, that guy, he really. Oh, and funny story. I just spoke to an opera historian today, a friend of mine in Spain, friends of Carreras, and he's interviewing Carreras next week. So he went and did a little digging with his coaches. So whenever Carreras needed to make a new role debut, he would go to his coach and say, "Do we have any documents about the role?" And that was their code word for recordings of Di Stefano singing that. So that could be his first approach to the role, which is I found very interesting and smart.
Yes, yes. Well, De Stefano talked about Carreras a lot and knew that he virtually idolized him and kind of patterned his way of singing. And you could tell by the way he pronounces the Italian, too, that he really studied De Stefano
Yep.
quite a bit.
Yep.
Wonderful. Wow. Well, I don't know how you feel about it because you're obviously a great tenor in the world today, but there are moments on your top that it reminds me of a very young Jose Carreras.
Yeah, I've been told. It's really funny. I try not to imitate anybody.
That's
At
good.
the beginning of my career, being influenced a lot by Placido and by Ramon Vargas, people
Mm,
used to tell me you are reminiscent of their voices, and it was perhaps I was imitating, perhaps I was just trying to find my own way. And now I think my voice is recognizable for myself,
yes.
and people see hints of some of the influences I've had through the years. But I've always loved the freedom of Carreras' high notes, for example, and Corelli's, of course, and the beauty of Placido's legato and the metal, keeping it warmth, keeping its warmth and intensity. I mean, and Pavarotti, of course, nobody can do it like Pavarotti, but if I could, I would.
Yeah, me too, bro. That's like, wow. And that he did it so consistently for so long, too, was just
Yeah,
so studying you and your voice and the way you handle it. I just think it is kind of the perfect balance of a tenor. It's the kind of thing that I grew up idolizing Mario Lanza, right? And then from Lanza went to a tenor, a Mexican tenor that the world really doesn't know. His name was Armando Sierra, and that was the greatest instrument I ever heard live in public to this day.
no kidding.
But
I've
then
never
after,
heard of him.
oh, I'll send you some recordings, man.
Please do, please
Oh
do.
man, man, it was transcendental. Anyhow, after that was De Stefano. And then I met him in Palm Springs, and then, like probably you, copied O dolci mani. The way he sang that phrase in Tosca is just unbelievable, right? So you
God.
have in that genre of tenor, it's your top is explosive. It goes up. You don't get a wobble on the top like I kind of do now at 66 years old. But it's just beautiful. And as you go through the passaggio, you don't hear like it become throaty or tight. It's really masterful. Can you talk about how you got there?
Sure. It is actually my most passionate subject on vocal technique. The it hasn't been always the case. Like most tenors, I struggled with that. The beginning of my career, getting through the passaggio, and like most of us who followed teachers who learned from some of the Italian um, masters that misunderstood Mr. Malocchi in the approach of the affondamento through the passaggio to go to the opening up of the high notes. Um, I used to, well, for lack of a better word, strangle myself through the passaggio, and
Mm.
I just I won't take full credit. My wife was the one who said that doesn't sound right. I was like, honey, this is how it is. This is how I was taught, and that this is how everybody does it. It doesn't sound right still. So
Mm.
we started exploring together. She's become my coach for now almost a decade. Um,
Wow.
yeah. I'm very lucky to have such a smart woman and with such a sharp ear. So long story short, I had to sing my first Macbeth. Was my first Verdi with a little bit of meat.
Yes.
And it wasn't a big theater, so I had to make sure I was going to be heard, and there was not going to be any strangling because the strangling would reduce the sound in the hall for sure.
Yes.
So um, we were working on it for days, weeks, months. And one day I was very motivated. I went to the piano and I started, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, ah. I'm gonna open the throat and no, my wife, no. Okay, she gave up. I was like, I'm gonna go take a shower. So I said, I'm gonna focus a little bit on music. So I started marking it. Alla paterna mano. Very simple. She comes out with a towel. That's it. That's it. Like it was vibrating in the shower. It's like, oh, I almost used can we swear on this podcast?
You can. You can.
I almost said to paraphrase Mr. Logan from Succession, fuck off. I was marking. I was marking. How can you say that was it? It's like, okay, try it again.
Yes.
So I was like, alla paterna mano. You see, I'm marking. She was like, it doesn't sound like marking, honey. It sounds heavier and louder and brighter than any of the other ones. It's like, oh.
Yes.
So we're onto
Yes.
something. And we kept working on that. And through the passaggio, yes, there is some modification of vowel, but it's not done through position. I do the modification through tongue um, placement. So the more forward my tongue is, the more imperceptible the passaggio is. So it's really funny. The other day I posted something on YouTube, and the comment section is my favorite. There's this young kid who's probably 19 at most saying, "I feel sorry, he's going to ruin his voice."
Oh, don't you love
That's
that?
like, man, I'm 46, and had I ruined it, it would have been before when I didn't
By
find my
now.
technique
Yes.
because he thought I was singing open, you know. But
Ah.
but it sounds because they're looking for that
The
strangle.
closing. Yeah, yes.
Mm,
The covered thing that Cheryl
the
Milnes used to
covered,
talk about. Yes.
yeah, and Pavarotti. I think the biggest damage done to vocal technique in the last 40, 45 years, it was done by Luciano's father. I'm
Mm.
sorry, and I know it's not a popular opinion, but Luciano would advocate, even if he wouldn't do it himself all the time. His best recordings is when he would let go of the strangling and let it open, but he would have the voice of his father saying, "Cover it!" And there's this
Yes.
one Lucia, is it Lucia? Yes. There's a Lucia and a Rigoletto recording, with both with Sutherland, that you can hear that his father was really present, and they're my two least favorite Pavarotti
Ah.
recordings.
That is so funny you say that because there is a video out where Pavarotti is with Joan Sutherland and somebody else, and he goes to the piano and says, "You are not a real tenor if you don't close the F. F has to be closed." And then one of my former students, who is a tenor, posted on his Facebook because I always told him, "Don't close it so much. Don't close it so much." And he's like, "See, Pavarotti said you have to close." And I'm like, let me hear the hundreds of performances where he opens those Fs. But it's not opening like what De Stefano did, right? It's
No,
like
it's
what
open
you
in a vertical way, and the tongue is
exactly. Yes.
uh-huh.
Yes.
Hey, it's a very broad topic, but I am very very proud of having brought. I have about a roster of 25 students right now.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, a few of them doing professional careers, and a couple of them I've brought back from not singing anymore because they didn't have an E, never mind a G left.
Wow.
So they're doing roles professionally, and I'm very proud of the work, and I believe so strongly in this technique because it has taken me through I was able to sing in the last 5 years Nemorino and Calaf and be comfortable with both. And I
And,
can sing both of them at any point in my career right now.
and folks, for those of you who don't know why he said Nemorino and Calaf, one is the Donizetti, and it's much lighter. That's where Una furtiva lagrima is from. And it's a very lyrical, light, floaty sound. And the other one is Nessun Dorma, Puccini, and it's a lot bigger sound with bigger trumpets in the orchestra, and you got to sing over that. So for you to be able to go back and forth is a testament to your technique. And I love what you're saying. Do you feel like when your tongue goes forward like that, does it arch a little bit, or does it just stay flat and go forward?
Um, and I guess the anatomy of every singer will be different. And I have a very average tongue. It's not small, but it's not also. I've had students who have like huge tongues that they can,
Yes.
yeah, they can like touch the tip of their
Oh my
nose. I
God.
can't.
Okay.
Yeah. And so in my case, I just keep the tip of my tongue touching my bottom teeth,
Teeth.
and when I go on an I and an O vowel, I keep the tongue as neutral as possible. I tell my students, imagine it's like a cube of ice that went and dissolved,
Aha.
or plasma. It's like this. It's like this, and there's no
Yeah.
back of the tongue in the throat. So
Yes.
where I'm working on is having the seal of my soft palate against my pharynx, and a very sound in my voice, very vertical, very easy, marky position of my mouth, and from there,
Wow.
putting the connection of the vocal cords not being but and from there. I know it sounds a little bit too complicated, but it's not as
Not at
complicated as it
all.
sounds.
I
Yeah.
get it. So you feel the compression of the chords together with the uh, that
Yes.
attack of the
And
chords.
everything else is as if I had anesthesia in my whole mouth, and but keeping, for example, what was I singing this morning? I was practicing something. Um, but I went through that to go to the passaggio, and I don't know if I'm warmed up enough to do this, but here we go anyway. Let's
Excellent.
try this. I'm gonna go from an A flat to an F.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. Let me put this here. Oh, so it might sound open because the I is not like
Right.
Pavarotti
Like
would hit
Pavarotti.
Pavarotti.
Yes.
Instead, what I'm doing is putting more air. I tell my students, let's do it as we're cooking. We're putting 3 spoons of air per spoon of voice.
I like it.
And first, sometimes I make them trace the sound with pencil before they trace it with crayon or with marker. So I say, ah, and then you're gonna use the same support. Ah, ah, and from there, it's not strangled or difficult. It sounds
Wow.
easy.
That is awesome. Very cool. Well,
Thanks, thanks.
De Stefano in his early days had that ability to sing sottovoce through the passaggio too.
That's what
And
saved him,
right?
I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I've talked with Ben Hepner about what he did, through the passaggio too, and he didn't really do the Pavarotti closing, flipping thing. And it just sounded like all of a sudden you're going, and now you're just starting to mix more head voice without flipping anything. Is that what it feels like to you?
Pretty much, without flipping, but it does feel. I feel like a cloud in front of my mouth of vibration as I go.
Interesting.
And when I lose the cloud, I know something is wrong. I need to. At my next breath, I try to recenter and to refocus everything.
Okay. Do you know who Seth Riggs is?
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay, he taught a lot of people like Thomas Hampson, and well, Thomas Hampson does what you're talking about through the passaggio too. He doesn't
Yeah,
swallow it,
yeah,
But anyhow, he talks about speech level singing, where you're just right here, instead of trying to fake something.
exactly.
So many years ago, and if we can, after the show, send me your address. I'd love to send you my book. Anyhow, in the book,
Sure.
I talk about how Mario Lanza came to me in a dream. And all of these dreams were happening for years, and he was going to tell me the secret. And then at the last moment, he would take off with Tito Capobianco or somebody else that was in my life at the time. Well, the final dream he came, and this time he was an old man like he would have been. And he said, okay. And we were in my bedroom in my hometown, and he showed all the records of Mario Lanza. And he said, okay, sing a scale on ah. And I was, oh. He said, there's the problem. He said, say ah for me. Ah. With a sigh. Ah. Now do ah. He said, that is the secret to singing. So there's a little Mario Lanza anecdote there.
Oh my, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that's basically my story with the marquee sound. It's
Mhm.
marking for me was not doing the oh.
Right. And I think people confuse, and you tell me if I'm wrong, because you're the superstar out there today. Tell me,
Please.
big and loud are two different things.
I think so.
Because if you have the right, and the frequency is going boom, 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 boom everywhere, it's going to carry. But if it's just loud without the right frequencies, it doesn't go past that orchestra.
I know,
Right?
absolutely. You're absolutely right. My latest when I teach online, it's hard to gauge whether a singer is it's too much on the head voice side when they're singing their high notes.
Right.
So I have them download this Decibel X app that tracks how many decibels, but also where they are on the harmonic side. So when I see they're running between the 3 and the 4,000 hertz, I'm happy. But if it's
Wow.
too hertzy, because this has a lot of
Uh-huh.
hertz too. But if there has no decibels, then it's
Right.
not well balanced. So a high
Yes.
note that has between 95 and 105 decibels, and it's between the 3,000 and the 4,000 hertz, it's a perfect
Oh
high
my
note
God. I
that
got to
is
get
connected.
that. What is that
Yeah,
called
it's a
again?
Decibel X.
Okay. And
It's
if
free. Yeah.
somebody wanted to study with you, how would they contact you?
Oh, I have on my website I have the contact info, arturochaconcruz.com, and there's an email you can reach me at, and
Okay.
yeah.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a teacher, I'm telling you, this young fellow's technique is stellar. I love it. And you know what Pavarotti was talking about, that closing, flipping thing at F. You could hear Corelli doing that too, right? He would go open,
Yes,
open, 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 and then it's like another voice, and it would
that's really
flip.
funny. Corelli's he didn't have a lisp when he spoke. He had the
Right?
lisp when he sang, and that's because he's trying to get his tongue out of his throat.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's pretty much.
but when he would let that top go, oh my God, no tiene madre.
No tiene madre. Mi abuela. We will
Absolutamente.
go beyond in Spanish when we say no tiene madre. It's like he has no mother, but it means that there's nothing better. But when you
Exactly.
go to the grandma level, that's even better.
Then you just say, damn, damn, wow. So how did you get your start? Were you singing in church, or how did that happen?
um, I did sing a little bit in church, but I got my real start with the mariachi bands in Mexico. Um, I was about maybe 15 when one of my best friends wanted to join a singing competition at school. And I had sung my whole life with chorus, with at home, at parties and everything. But between the 13 and 14 and 15 years of age, I had, the teenage angst and shyness come. So my friends didn't know that I could sing. So he's like, I wanna join the competition. Come on, I'm embarrassed to go alone. Come with me. So I went and I sang a mariachi song and I won.
Oh my God. Do you remember
And
what the
from
song
there,
was?
Por tu maldito amor, Vicente
Okay.
Fernández. Yeah.
Yes.
El día en que te encontré, me enamoré. Beautiful song.
Wow. Look at that
Um, my
voice.
my wife's favorite song. Yeah. Anyway, so I started going out first with friends, and there was this one bar where they had a mariachi band that would play and let the goers sing with them for free. So I was so excited. I would sing a couple times. Slowly, I got started to get invited to serenades. Do you know well, you're married to a Mexican lady, so you know the
Yes.
tradition. Did you propose with a serenade, Daniel?
Absolutamente. That's absolutamente. And I wrote the song. El
Well,
momento en el que te miré, el momento en el cual te nombré. Yeah. Yeah.
well, I take my hat off and applaud you because that's
Oh,
our tradition in Mexico.
isn't that
We
fun?
I love it. So they started inviting me to sing for serenades. I was a proxy, and then the guy would like stand next to me, and I did hundreds. I'm not kidding you, hundreds of serenades through my teen years, and then my mother encouraged me to take vocal lessons, just because I love singing so much with the mariachis. But she's like,
Mm.
you will get some discipline this way. I was like, okay, let's try it. So I went to my first voice lesson with a teacher from Cuba who was teaching in Mexico, Jesus Lee. He was a Chinese Cuban,
Mm.
and he had studied in Russia with many important Russian singers of this 50s and 60s. And then he passed along his technique. It was the same technique as Pavarotti, with a little bit constrained on the passaggio that I had to eventually, but it was healthy enough that it helped me develop my first technique. And from there, I
Mm.
auditioned to Mexico City, to the opera there, and they had a young artist program that was sponsored by CIVAM. There was a society that was helping people get started. And I met Placido in Mexico City, and he helped me out as well with a Domingo scholarship.
Wow. Placido, who's that?
Placido Domingo, yeah, you might have heard of him.
Awesome. Well, since you got started in mariachi, maybe I can play this mariachi recording of you. Can you kind of set it up what this was all about?
Yeah, sure. Granada is the most played mariachi song for opera singers. When we
Right.
start singing opera in Mexico and we want to bridge the two worlds, we sing Granada. Granada is by Agustin Lara, one of our top composers and
Yes.
most amazing lyricist, and somebody who bridged the gap between classical and popular music.
Yes.
Um, and he wrote the song about this beautiful city in Spain without having been in Spain. He was
Mm-hmm.
so enthralled with the idea of Granada that he wrote this song, and people from Granada now use this song as their national anthem.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So for
Wow.
this version in particular, the Mariachi Mexico Internacional from Miami, we had a concert last year, and was it this year? I don't know. After COVID, time has flown
Sure.
so
Right.
different. It was a few months ago, and they wrote this arrangement especially for this concert. So it is my most cherished recording of Granada. I think it's beautiful. I think it's delightful to hear the trumpets and the talent of this mariachi, combining
Yes.
Agustin Lara and my humble singing.
Yes. Well, your humble singing kicks ass on this recording, so good job with that.
Thanks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's check this out. Granada, Arturo Chacón Cruz.
Granada, tierra ensangrentada en tardes de toro. Mujer que conserva el embrujo de los ojos moros. De sueño rebelde gitana cubierta de flores. Mi beso Granada, manora cantada en coplas preciosas. No tengo otra cosa que darte que un ramo de rosas de suave fragancia que le dieran marco a la Virgen morena. De sangre y de sol. Liberando de mariachi internacional, México internacional. De rosas de suave fragancia que de sangre
Oh my God. Well, my brother, I have sung that song countless times, and with mariachi también. That kicked ass. Great job.
Thank you. Thanks, my friend.
Beautiful, poised, beautiful. The phrasing, unique stuff that you did in it that I haven't heard other people do. And when you did the Que yo te vengo a dar, it's like you held that note forever.
I know the mariachi for this arrangement, they decided to add like 4 more bars, and I was like, okay,
And that's
keep it. It's beautiful.
always for me. That dar was the hardest note in the whole song. You know, it wasn't the higher notes.
It's an F.
Right? And where it comes, but and then your
darn
vengo just pops right in there. So much brilliance. Kudos to you, dude.
Thanks.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Wow. I mean, you sound like you're Mexican.
Well, there's some 100% part of me that is Mexican. Yeah.
That is really cool. Bravo to you for that. And so, did you feel that there was much of a like a transition to go from this kind of the Granada, let's say, to a la paterna mano, which is almost the same range?
Well, at first when I started singing, yes, definitely there was distinction. Every piece felt different. But since my awakening to my I call it the marking feel of the technique. Everything is the same. Everything feels like butter. Everything feels organic. And well, of course, se siente rico. It feels yummy when you're singing. It feels wholesome. It feels you want more of that feeling. And it's not. There are some singers, especially baritones, who sing very back and they enjoy it. It's like self-gratifying. Oh, blow, blow. And it sounds to their ears, it sounds so dark and buttery, but it's not outside. So it's the opposite. It feels like there's nothing happening here, and I feel this cloud in front of me of vibration. Sometimes my nose itches.
That's incredible. Wow. And so really the technique that you're describing, you kind of fell into it with the ear of your wife, right? Helping you with.
Yeah, that's it. And even today we were on FaceTime. She's in Montreal right now visiting her mom. And I was singing Ojos negros, piel morena, que me llegan a desesperar. Me importas tú. It's like, it's too dark. I was like, oh, you're right. Absolutely. Because I think I'm trying to give it some warmth, and I just let this, so it adds some tension. So I just need to keep it tenor free, and the warmth will come on its own.
Wow. Yeah. That is really, what you're saying is unusual for opera singers, what you're saying. But man, I am totally down with that, right? In a lot of ways, that's what a young Giuseppe Di Stefano did. It was it was like talking. I don't know if you ever heard the recordings when he was like 17 years old. He was called Nino Florio then. And he did the vola, vola, vola. And it was just like talking, but so gorgeous and fluent.
Yeah. It's really funny. I did Tosca a few months ago in Miami. And I was working on one of the phrases. What was it? E tanto l'era infervorata nella sua preghiera che ne pensi non visto il bel sembiante.
Yes.
My wife says, why don't you just do it like Di Stefano? Think of it open. Think of it open, but instead of opening this way, just open this way.
Yes.
So
Don't
I said,
spread.
E tanto l'era infervorata nella sua preghiera. And boom, the decibels and the harmonics went
boom. And that's
Yeah.
what I mean about big. Big is when the decimals and the harmonics are like amplifying each other. They're like
Yeah.
stacking on top of each other, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like
surfing.
you're Yes. There are times when I felt when I was in that pocket, it felt like I was ripping the air. And it wasn't
Yeah.
not about loud.
No, it's like,
Interesting.
yeah. And I have more esoteric experiences, which is, I mean, I don't know. I don't claim to know what the universe is and where we come from and where we're going, but I've had moments of sort of feeling very strange connections with the music, with the orchestra, with the audience, when everything is very well connected. That I have seen like streams of energy. I don't know if it's the lights hitting me, but
Ah.
it's so beautiful, and I feel so connected with the audience this way. I don't know if uh, well, no, we haven't spoken about this, but I spoken about it in a few interviews before. Um, a while ago, along more or less maybe a year or two before my full technical awakening. This has been in a work in progress for as it is still for many years. Um, my wife and I and my son were in the car in Miami to go to the Italian embassy to pick up my passport. I had a
Mm.
gig coming up, so I needed to pick it up with my visa. And Miami has horrible traffic, terrible, terrible traffic. We had been in traffic for at least 45 minutes, and my son was about 3 years old, maybe four,
Mm.
almost four, and he was fed up with it. So I look back, and he's frowning in the back. He's like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" He looks at me and is like, "Daddy, what are we here for?" Like, oh my goodness, look over there. You see that building over there? That's where my passport is. I need to pick it up real quick. Then on the way back, we stop for ice cream. Is that okay? No, Dad. What are we here for in the world?
Ooh, mind blown.
So, yep. So I'm like, look at my wife. She's like, no, no, no. He asked you. I just looked at him and I just felt the surge of love. And I said, we're here to love, little buddy. We're here to give love and to receive love.
Yes.
And my wife looked at me and was like, not bad. And that
Mm.
he seemed to take that answer for truth. Anyway, that same day, that evening, my wife and I opened a bottle of wine and we started talking about it and considering what are we here for? Are we here to be successful? I don't think so. Are we here to make a lot of money? No. Are we here to no. When do we feel the most complete? When we feel love, when we give love, I think. So we came to this promise. I made a promise to myself and I don't know, to my wife as well. When I'm on stage, instead of worrying about the critic in the audience or the high C coming up or
Mm-hmm.
this guy doesn't like me so much, the conductor or the director, I'm just gonna give love to the audience. You know, the love of a friend, a brother, a son, I don't know, a lover, if that's what they need. But of course, in the in my within my possibilities, I would just give love. It's like, here it is, take it. I don't need anything else. From there, I think I'd let go of something that was holding me back. I think the my true happiness in this business started then, and
Mm. Wow.
and it is within this experiment that I started to see these connections. I know it maybe it's just me trying to see the love going to a lot of people, or maybe it is the lights that are just reflecting in a funny way on stage. But it's something very special.
Wow. Well, brother, I have had a lot of experiences like what you're talking about, and I'm with you. I've had, through the course of my career, a lot of outer body experiences too.
Yep.
And while performing, there were moments where I felt that I transcended the human condition, and I felt like I was one with God in the universe, and it was just like it was a higher level of consciousness and a higher energetic plane. It was more than just the music. It was the totality of everything.
Yeah. What a
Did you
gift.
have what one would call spiritual experiences?
I've had them, and it's such a privilege to be able to know that exists, and
Mm-hmm.
to be certain that we can achieve it even in our, you know, very
Right.
heavy skin, um, still be able to feel that connection with everything. And I think I'm very privileged to have experienced that.
Mm. Well, if you don't mind, I have your Nessun Dorma here. I would like everybody to hear.
Oh, sure.
Nessun dorma, nessun dorma. Tu pure, o principessa, nella tua fredda stanza, guardi le stelle che tremano d'amore e di speranza. Ma il mio mistero è chiuso in me. Il nome mio nessun saprà. No, no, sulla tua bocca dirò quando la splenderà. Ed il mio bacio scioglierà il silenzio che ti fa mia. Tramontate stelle, all'alba vincerò.
Bravo, hermanito.
Thanks. Muchas gracias. Muchas
Ah.
gracias.
Que rico.
Yeah, I'm cringing the whole way. I was like, oh, I could have done that better. No, come on, cover that one. Let's have a little bit more spread. No, keep it.
Ba ba ba, right? It never ends. It never ends.
Yeah. But that was before I did my role debut as Calaf. So now I think after rehearsing it for 2 months and having 8 performances, it's like it you find you fine tune many things. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I always tell my students it's like a roadmap. You got to keep getting that map into your voice about that particular role, that aria. And the
Yeah.
more you go down that road and the more you repeat it over and over again successfely, it gets easier.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I just read a book. It's called Peak. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's this I think his name is Anders Ericsson or Eric Anderson. It's one of the two.
Okay. Okay.
Um, it is Peak. It's one of the best sellers on Amazon. He went following around top violinists, pianists, and basically musicians, except for singers, through their careers, the top of their field, universities, and then some students and the ones who had the most talent and the ones who had the most success. And he went
Mm.
and he brought it down to a formula. Whoever worked the most on their technique, whoever made the most mental maps, the little tracing with pencil before you go and do it with marker,
Mm.
those are the ones who made it the farthest. So we're talking about even the ones with the most talent washed out if they didn't do that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's using like bilateral function of the brain there, using both sides instead of
Yeah.
just
You cannot rely on inspiration alone. You also have to
exactly.
put the hard work.
Yes. Yeah. And especially in opera, it has to be that. Well, even Pavarotti talked about that. It took him
Yeah.
10 years just to do the one thing. He said, okay, well, and
Yeah.
who else? The Barry Tenor that's so famous these days,
Michael
Michael. And it's like,
Spires. Yeah.
and he's like, I didn't even have a G. And people told me I was crazy, but I kept doing it over and over and over and over. And
Yeah. I've known Michael for probably 22 years or so. We worked together in a young artist program, and we were both baritones.
are you kidding?
Yeah.
So you were a baritone to begin with?
I was a baritone. Yeah, I switched in 2004. After we were together in 2004? No, 2002. 2002. We were in Opera Theater St. Louis as the
Mm-hmm.
ensemble, young artists, and I was covering Enrico in Lucia. So
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
I believe Michael was one of the grave diggers in Hamlet. I can't remember, but he was a baritone still. Yeah, and we would go into the practice rooms and sing high notes. Then John Woosman came and listened to both of us, and I think, if I recall correctly, I might be wrong. He told me, "No, you're not a tenor. You're a baritone. You just keep working." And I think he said the same thing to him. If I'm not mistaken. So
Wow.
I need to call him and ask him.
Wow. Okay. Well, a famous accompanist there helping and coach, right? Giving
Yeah.
his
He
two
was
cents.
Pavarotti's accompanist.
So I told you that I had Lanza, who was like my idol growing, what made me decide to be an opera singer. Did you have somebody like that who like really inspired you to?
They have changed through the years.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a young teenager, it was Vicente Fernandez, believe it or not,
Mm.
who I would listen to him a lot. I connected a lot to Jorge Negrete as well.
Okay.
Um, but the voice was amazing, Jorge Negrete. I admit that he's probably the best mariachi voice in Mexican pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
But there was also Javier Solis, who sang with feeling, without the
Mm.
voice. So I kept changing and learning from Vicente Fernandez. Had like the whole package. He had the voice, the connection, the feeling, the charisma,
The charisma, big
and
time.
yeah, and that's why he was one of the biggest influences at the beginning. And then I discovered Placido after a few years,
Mm.
um, getting into music and on the classical side, and he became a sort of a idol to follow and to
Sure.
emulate.
Sure.
From there, I discovered Corelli, I discovered Fleta,
Mm.
and I've had my eye on so many wonderful influences that it would be unfair to just name one. I mean, you had Lanza. I wish I had known Lanza when I was a young a
Mm-hmm.
student, because he really, there are very few professional tenors singing at the highest levels who had the technique he had and the
Mm-hmm.
beauty he had
Mm-hmm.
and the charisma he had. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he would be the
And in the
top
mid,
tenor right now.
right in the middle of his voice and the bottom of his voice, he did what you're doing as well. He never pushed that sound. He just let it relax.
Let it
Uh,
be.
and that's why he could cross over and do that pop stuff that he was doing. Like he sang,
Yep.
and when I tell them how beautiful you are, he didn't sound really like an opera singer. It was just talking.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons I think he was able to become a movie star.
Yeah.
I have a Mexican singer that I want to see if you know who he is. His name is Hugo Avendaño.
Oh my goodness. Yes, of course.
And I think that is was a type of Mexican singer that was really like an opera singer singing popular music. And I
Yes.
think that's kind of a route from Mexico that allowed so many guys like yourself to go from and all of them had these really open throats and relaxed throats. Would you agree
Yeah.
with that? And
Yes.
and that's like the first thing you got to have. If your throat is tight, you're not going to be able to sing more than one or two
Yeah.
songs, right?
Yeah. No, Hugo Vendaño. Oh my goodness. I recorded on social media, not I didn't record it professionally, a song that a Mexican composer wrote for him, and
Mm.
he recorded it professionally. It's called Estoy enamorado de ti. That for some reason YouTube took it off from, and so the only one left is the one I recorded with a little guitar.
Wow.
But there is so very little of Hugo Avendaño available. And so very few people know of him.
Mm.
And I think he should have been on the top. When I discovered
Yes.
him, I was probably like 30 years old, and I was like, who is this? Why haven't I heard of him? Why wasn't he Pedro Vargas? Pedro Vargas was
Yes.
one of those tenors who sang all the pop music, Bésame mucho, a little ingolato, and yeah,
Right.
beautiful voice, and nice personality, always very,
So cute.
opera is very. But this guy, I mean, Hugo Vendaño is here, and the other guy was here. So it goes to show you, sometimes the politics. I don't know how it works, but in Mexican pop music, what our beautiful pop music now is destroyed by the current state of events of
Mm.
reggaeton and
Mm.
narco music that is taking over my poor country. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the good
Mm.
stuff. We
Right.
have such treasures there that I wish they would have been shown to the world.
All right, hermano. I won't keep you. I know you're late over there.
Thank
So
you. Thank you. I'm
thanks
getting a little
again.
hungry, but it's all good. I appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you so
God,
much,
God
Daniel.
bless. Thanks so much.
You too. Good luck with the sale.
Thank you.